DeJulius puts up a three. Yes!
Bearcats could use a leader like David DeJulius right about now. Welcome into another edition of Bearcat Blitz. I'm your host, Russ Heltman. He's my co-host across the way there, Neil Meyer. It should be way easier for me to say that than flubbing it right there. Of Cincinnati's rival Cincinnati site, thefrontofficenews.com. Check out all the great Rivals coverage there, and check out all of our great Sports Illustrated coverage at Cincinnati Bearcats on SI, where you can find all my work as well. Check out the show. Also, wherever you get your podcasts, whether that's Spotify, Apple, Google, Amazon, all of the major podcast feeds populated with this show. And you can check us out on YouTube, Talking Cats with Russ Heltman, where Groundhog Day passed this weekend, and it feels like Groundhog Day every single time the Bearcats tip off a basketball over the last few weeks. Another loss, this time at home, to their rival, West Virginia. Wasn't even competitive. The score makes it look a lot better than it was. This was really a 20-point blowout that ended up being 63-50 in favor of the West Virginia Mountaineers. We'll get to that. We will preview the latest road trip for Cincinnati going up against UCF and see if either of us are going to pick this team to get off the schneid and try to salvage some kind of momentum this season. The NCAA tournament is done, completely done. Stick a fork in them. Sunday was the final death blow in any sense of that hope, but still basketball to be played for the Cincinnati Bearcats, and a pretty good amount of basketball to be played considering how quickly they have gotten bounced out of tournament contention, unless there's some kind of miracle Big 12 tournament title run, which that feels miles away from this team right now. Before we get to that, though, I want to tell you about Bet Online. The biggest betting weekend of the year is finally here, which means more updated odds and props for Super Sunday. BetOnline is the world's most trusted betting platform and your number one source for online betting. They have hundreds of prop bets, MVP odds, and exclusive in-game live betting. BetOnline is your ultimate game day companion. Whether you're a seasoned fan or a first-time bettor, BetOnline offers you everything and more to enhance your game day experience. Visit the website today and make the game day action count a little bit more. BetOnline, the game starts here. Neil, offense once again inept. They, at one point, had more turnovers than made field goals deep into the second half. A 13-2 run in the final 10 minutes, over the final 10 minutes, portions of it, helps make this look a lot better than it was. But once again, Dan Skilling's completely no-shows in this game, has some garbage time points that nobody should care about. 3 of 6 from the field, 6 points, had 3 total rebounds in this one. His first rebound came after the 10-minute mark. Only one Bearcat in double figures, Day Thomas, who should never really be taking 14 field goals, but he was the only guy who really seemed to want the moment throughout the 40 minutes. He goes 4-14 from the field, 10 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists. Dylan Mitchell hits the glass hard, and you got to commend him for that, getting a 10-rebound performance here. But once again, under 50% shooting for Cincinnati's best overall player, 6 points from Mitchell, and just no real life from this team outside of Rayvon Griffith, who got his first extended minutes in conference play during his entire career, made the most of it, 7 points, 2 of 3 from the field, 2 assists, 1 rebound in 12 minutes, was pictured after the game and deep into the night getting shots up. The only guy this year I've seen all season get post-game shots up or be in the gym late at night and have it be noted. This team just clearly does not want it. This team has quit multiple times over the past few weeks. There is a major leadership problem on this team, and there is just no real sign of growth coming from this program and this roster overall in the 2024-25 season. The only thing that you had to do in this contest was make sure you slowed down Javon Small. It started with that. And they couldn't do it. I think he had 11 points in the first 10 minutes of the game, something like that. Ended up going 6 of 14 from the field, but was dominant and the best player on the floor, just like I said he would be in the preview, and a preview that is becoming, not a preview, predictability. That's how easy it is to tell when this team is going to show up or not, and how easy it is to tell when this team is going to have issues. All you got to do is see who the top scorer is on the other team and know that they're going to have a pretty strong night. Javon Small has now had 19 plus points in all 3 road matchups against Cincinnati in his career, only played them on the road. And what did he say after the game, Neil? It's one of his favorite arenas to play in. Just the disrespect, rightfully, from Javon Small. He earned it in that performance, and the West Virginia Mountaineers earned their boasting in this game, 63-50. Neil, it never really felt close once we got to the 6-7 minute mark in the first half, and UC never really made this a game. They never fought. They never worked hard for their teammates, and I'm just at a loss, man. Truly at a loss after Javon Small puts up 19 and UCF, who has 16 points on 6 of 6 shooting from the field, 4 of 4 from deep, a 9 of 18 shooting performance from outside against a UC defense that a month ago was the best 3-point defense in the nation. And now, Neil, I'll let you retort here and grab the numbers, but they've been getting absolutely shredded from outside, and they're about to go on the road to face a team that is arguably the most high-powered 3-point offense in the entire Big 12.
Yeah. No, Russ, first I'll comment too. I know you mentioned the Rayvon Griffiths post. I know you're not a big Instagram guy, but there are some other guys who are getting late night shots up that you might not see. But
thank you. Thank you for noting that.
Jizzle James, another one. Dylan Mitchell's in there pretty frequently. Tyler Betsy as well. There's a couple guys behind the scenes who are also in there late nights with Rayvon Griffith. But overall, let's start there. Rayvon Griffith, I thought, brought the most energy yesterday, Russ, and that's been something you and I have seen in practice over the recent months, the recent years. We've seen the hard work. He's the first guy out there on the floor every game. He's always out there early getting up shots. So in the extended minutes that Rayvon got, I thought he was arguably the most energetic player, and he made an immediate impact for Cincinnati when he was out there. I mean, the first 2 possessions, Russ, he comes in, he gets the offensive rebound or the defensive rebound, and then he gets
a little hook shot. Yeah.
He gets the offensive rebound and puts the ball on the floor and goes right up strong with it for the easy layup. And then he comes back down. He gets the assist to CMOS on the 3. So overall, Rayvon played extremely well, and it was great to see him get those extended minutes in this one because Cincinnati's looking for a spark just about anywhere, it seems like. And then it's worth noting, too, the starting lineup change, Russ. You didn't mention that. So Day Thomas gets inserted in. Dan Skillings gets inserted out. And Wes Miller even said, he goes, I necessarily didn't take Dan out the starting lineup, but I put Day in, and he thought Day
holding hands in the press conference. Got to make sure you don't hurt anybody's feelings for sure. You can't call anybody out in the press conference. Can't say that you benched Dan because he's playing horrifically. Can't do that. No, that can't happen in modern college basketball.
So on top of that, the starting lineup change there. I think it was something that was needed. I like the aggression that Day brought early, especially early. He was trying to find ways to get the offense going. The pick and roll game was there in the opening minutes, but they just failed to connect. Russ, I mean, if you watched it back, I don't know if you have yet or not. If you watch it back, the first 4 possessions, they have Dylan on the pick and roll. They just were failing to convert on it. So on top of that, but outside of that 20-5 run there late in the first half, it was over from there. All momentum, all life was sucked out of Cincinnati after that 20-5 run. It just seemed like they were lost, lackadaisical, running through the motions is what it kind of felt like. And it was a 25-point game at one point, and I think we all looked to each other and said, this might be a game where Javon Small goes for 40. Because it felt like that at one point in this game, and thankfully it was only 19, but Javon Small was the best player on the court on Saturday. And, I mean, Russ, respectfully earned, when you put up 20 points a game at Fifth Third Arena in 3 contests, I think it's fair to say you can kind of say that's your favorite arena you played in. But Cincinnati, outside of Rayvon Griffith and Dylan Mitchell, Day Thomas brought some aggression too, which was great to see. But outside of those 3, it was lifeless for Cincinnati. Me personally, Russ, I know you talked about Dylan Mitchell. I thought he played terrific. I thought he was bringing the energy on the glass just as much. I thought he was continuing that pace and being that guy for Cincinnati there. But you look down, you see 0 for 8 for Jizzle James, 1 for 7 for CMOS Lukosius. Dan Skillings gets the 6 garbage time points that, I mean, it wasn't really garbage time because the run started. Then the final 4 minutes, you get nothing. So, I mean, you kind of get your momentum, and then the final 4 minutes, you just let West Virginia run out the clock. So, overall, I mean, 31% from the field. You have 14 turnovers. Like, it was just sloppy play from Cincinnati on Saturday. And Russ, once the first one happened, I think you could kind of see where things were going to start to trend.
This team is the worst shooting team in the Big 12, and it's not particularly close. The only team in the conference shooting under 40% from the field, 31% in this game. And Neil, it wasn't like they were getting bad luck on these shots. 5-6 air balls, missing layups at the rim, throwing over the shoulder, Arrington Page throwing a loop-de-loop pass over the shoulder for turnovers, not being aggressive to the basket, not hunting for contact at the basket, lazily throwing up layups.
Even the lobs were
bad.
off too, Russ, because you talk about
They were
the
terrible.
lackadaisical. The one lob where Day throws it up to Dan. Dan tries to catch it one hand, and it hits off the backboard. Thankfully, Dylan Mitchell was right there for cleanup. But if that would have happened, that would have been another.
That was so funny. Chad Brendel of Bearcat Journal looked back at me. He said, "That's the double alley oop off the backboard play. They've been practicing that play." I started laughing about that. It's just all you can do is laugh at this point. It's just I've never been more wrong about a sports team I've covered in my half decade plus doing this. Never been more wrong, ever. Though I thought they would fight for each other. They would rally for each other. And Neil, I should have asked this question to Simas Lukosius in the postgame press conference. I shouldn't have asked about his shooting, because what's he going to say? I should have asked Simas, who is the leader on this team that can pull you guys out of this? Who is it? And there isn't one. There is not a leader on this team that can do it. Simas clearly isn't doing it. Dan Skillings isn't doing it. Dylan Mitchell isn't doing it. Day Thomas isn't doing it. There's just nobody right now that can lift these guys and wake them up and get them to play with intensity for 40 full minutes. It's really bad, Neil. It's really, really bad. And I just, you look at how is it going to get better? I don't know, because you look at a guy like Tyler Betsy, a top 50 recruit that came in this year. He's averaging less than 4 points per game in conference play. That's not making fans feel very great about 2 more top 50 guys coming into Wes Miller's program next year. He has shown zero ability to develop talent at the Power 5 level. Who has he developed, Neil? I don't know. I can't answer that question. Who has he developed into a stronger player year over year throughout his tenure? I can't answer that question.
I think the one that sticks out to mind would be Isaiah Miller, who is now in the G League. I think that was the guy that really stood out, UNCG guy. But from UC, I don't know. I don't know if we can give you an answer on that.
Right. At the Power 5 level, he hasn't developed anyone. He has developed no players. Nobody has increased their production and gotten better and honed their talent.
Landers Nolly, maybe that last
right,
year.
But that was 1 year, and he was already a finished product. Like, I'm talking about in the program multiple years and getting better. And it's, I don't know. There's not much more to say about that performance. It was lifeless. It was terrible. And Wes Miller, he would agree with us. He was disgusted. That was his quote, disgusted by the way his team played. And you can just see on his face that he's out of answers. He is completely out of answers.
He even mentioned that he was harsher. He was more combative with this team throughout the recent weeks. And I mean, you and I saw it firsthand at a couple of practices that were open to the media. And you and I got a different look at what people might see on the outside, of course. But I mean, he's been hard on these guys. He's been trying to get some kind of energy out, doing a lot of things differently. He's trying to find a way. But right now, Russ, I mean, with how they responded yesterday, what else is left for you? You know what I mean? You're running out of options.
Right. You had just lost 3 in a row, and you're coming back home to face a conference rival. And they were also on a 3-game losing streak. And the road team wanted it much, much, much more. And on top of that, it's just like there's no real reinforcements coming. It's not like somebody is going to magically get healthy on this team and bring the fire with them. CJ Frederick, Connor Hickman, those guys still out, did not play again yesterday. But it's not like they're going to turn this ship around and instantly inject 15 to 20 extra points of offense that this team desperately needs. It's
also worth noting too, on the injury front, Tyler McKinley as well too, already back practicing and everything. It's not like, but he's not expected to play this season, but he's been practicing.
Why would you waste a redshirt year?
Yeah, why? Exactly. Exactly. And then that's the situation they are in. They did not want to burn the red shirt in a moment like this, where the season you're sitting 2-8 in conference play. Why burn the red shirt for the young man when things are already trending down?
Right. And people clamoring about fire Wes Miller, get rid of him, got to allocate the money you were going to put aside to fire Scott Satterfield, take that and fire Wes Miller. I'm here to tell you, people, it's most likely almost 100% not going to happen. He has a $13 million buyout if fired before March 31st this year, and that drops to $9.9 million on April 1st, which is still a hefty number. And then next April 1st, that number goes down to a much more palatable $4.69 million buyout, which is kind of the norm and what typically you see in today's modern college sports, what you would have to deal with a multi-year buyout left there. But Neil, it was a major mistake giving Wes Miller a contract extension 1 year into his deal just to get him up to the payment level of other Big 12 coaches. Massive mistake. And now Cincinnati is in real dire straits because of it. There is no reinforcements coming. And I don't know how you can think that two top 50 talents coming in next year in Keyshawn Chillery and Sean Abayev, if they end up wanting to stick around with this outfit, are going to change this around dramatically. And on top of that, who is going to want to come play for Wes Miller out of the transfer portal? And on this team, a guy like Dylan Mitchell, a guy like Jizzle James, like these guys, why would they want to continue being a part of this when their own futures are being negatively impacted because of the surroundings that they're in? It's getting worse and worse every single day.
Yeah, it's like you mentioned it. I mean, the neck is in the grave is how you kind of say it on this season, because it's going to be hard to really climb back in this, Russ, unless something happens where you win 9 of the 10 last games to save your NCAA tournament hopes and win the Big 12 tournament or something. It's going to be hard to see this team playing deep into March, even if that's an NIT run at this point. It's going to be really hard. But for Cincinnati, what you want to see right now is find some competitive light, find some kind of energy, throw something out there. Heck, Russ, if that means you're putting Day Thomas, Jizzle James, Tyler Betsy, Rayvon Griffith, and Dylan Mitchell out there, or playing small ball, or going with AZ.
Rayvon needs to play 20 plus minutes a game. He's earned it. He's a hometown guy. He's earned it. He's worked his butt off, and he showed that he is ready for the moment, and he can bring some intensity, bring some fight. And that's exactly what he did yesterday.
And it was clear yesterday, too. The support was clear for Rayvon yesterday. When he was on the court, fifth third was probably the loudest it was all game, probably in recent weeks. And then when he came off, what happened, Russ? They got loud, just in a negative way. So he's got to see 20 minutes coming up in the last 10 games, I would hope.
Taking a quick break, and then we'll get to the UCF preview and a prediction after that, right here on Bearcat Blitz. Neil, headed on the road now is Cincinnati to take on UCF, one of their old AAC foes, a UCF team that, as we look at the matchup here, currently sits at number 64 in the net rankings to Cincinnati's 53rd mark. They're 58th in KenPom to Cincinnati's 61st overall metric. And bringing a lot of offense that Cincinnati has not been largely able to stop for most of the past 2 weeks. When you think about UCF Knights team that has 3 different scorers averaging 14.5 points per game, Keyshawn Hall, the top guy there in that sense, 18.1 points, shooting 43% from the field, 38.6% from deep. Darius Johnson, 42.5% from deep. I believe that leads all Big 12 shooters this season. And Neil, he's doing it on 6 attempts per game. This is a UCF team that is licking their chops looking at UC's three-point defense, which over the past 3 games and over the past 2 weeks has been abysmal. Absolutely abysmal. 50% on Sunday, 38% allowed against Utah, 62.5% against BYU, and 38.7% against Texas Tech. UC is a bad 3-point defense right now. They're a bad defense overall right now, and that's not a good formula to have when you look at their defense compared to compared to UCF's offense. And a UCF offense that's hitting 35% from 3, that's 128th nationally, and making 9 per game, that's 65th in the country. They're going to try to scorch them out of the gym from outside.
Yeah, no. And like you mentioned too, Russ, it's worth noting a guy like Keyshawn Hall, he's averaging 18.1 points per game on this season, but in conference play, look at where that number's at. I don't know if you did the math yet, but almost 23 points a game in Big 12 play. So he's second in the Big 12. second in the Big 12 in scoring, and then you look down. Oh wait, Russ, let's look at the top 15 scores. You look down. Darius Johnson, number 14, averaging 15 points a game. Jordan Ivy Curry, 14 points per game. This is a UCF team that has volume in terms of scoring, and that's with Jalen Sellers, their best player from a season ago, not even healthy. So, I mean, think about that, Russ. Their leading scorer from last year, who was averaging 19 points a game, was not healthy at all this season, isn't even playing right now. And that's
Right.
without the factor of highly phenom Mikey Williams, Dior Johnson, J.J. Taylor, all still trying to find their role for UCF. But those three for UCF, Keyshawn Hall, Darius Johnson, and Jordan Ivy Curry, spearhead a veteran core for Johnny Dawkins and the UCF Knights. And I mean, this is a UCF team, Russ, too, that loves to shoot the three ball, but is also extremely good at home. They are 10-3 at home on the season. And this is not, Financial Edition Arena is not a good place to play on the road. Cincinnati has struggled there in the past, stemming to their times in the AAC. But this is not going to be an easy matchup for Cincinnati come Wednesday night. And if they're going to allow UCF to play the three ball, just get a hand up. That's all I'm asking. Contest it, because they're going to shoot it. But if you let them shoot 50%, it's going to be a long night on Wednesday.
No doubt about that. And Cincinnati has to continue limiting their fouling. They cannot let UCF get to the line like they have throughout the entire season. 32nd nationally in free throw attempts per game, 23rd in free throw percentage at 23.1 per game in terms of the attempts, and 77.8% in terms of the percentage. If they slip up there, start getting into the foul trouble, you start getting some of those big fellas in the foul trouble, you start having to play Arrington Page and go deeper down your bench. Nightmare fuel for the Bearcats, and likely will continue their losing streak. We'll get to the UC offense versus the UCF defense after these messages on Bearcat Blitz. Neil, a much worse defensive outfit for UCF than they are offensively, but in terms of overall efficiency, looks a lot better than their raw statistics would suggest. 82nd nationally in overall defensive rating. They do allow 78.8 points per game. That's 337th nationally, but the reason that defensive efficiency is so much higher than that raw points per game allowed metric is because of the tempo. They're going to run UC up and down the floor, 25th highest adjusted tempo in the country. And when we think about them on defense, they're going to try to cause havoc. They're going to try to steal and force a lot of turnovers, 151st nationally in turnovers forced. Steals overall, 7.8 steals per game, 92nd nationally, and they average about 13.9 turnovers forced per game. And then, like, UC has to figure out a way to get inside and win the rebounding battle here. They have to win the rebounding battle. That was one of the positives from the game against West Virginia. They did win that rebounding battle, and UCF on the season is averaging 37 rebounds per game, and their opponents at just 38.8 rebounds per game. So, like, UC has to get close to 43 rebounds here. They have to win the possession battle, because we know that they're likely not going to be able to outshoot and outscore possession for possession UCF on this side of the basketball. It's way too daunting of a task. I just don't see how UC playing the way that they're playing right now is going to go into a road environment like this and get a victory against a team in UCF that, Neil, is likely just as hungrier than Cincinnati, coming off of 2 close losses in conference play. Give me the Bearcats to fall in this one, 72-63, in another game that may not feel very close at all throughout the entire 40 minutes.
Yeah, and I'm right there with you, Russ, because in the end, Cincinnati's got to be able to rebound the basketball, right? Outside of Dylan Mitchell in the recent games, Cincinnati has not been able to do that. Dylan Mitchell has been 8 rebounds a game, 7 rebounds a game for about the last month. But they got to get more production out of Aziz Bandago, Dan Skillings, AP, if they want to win this game. They cannot have a night where they go into Orlando and get out-rebounded. Simply, if they get out-rebounded in this game, Russ, it's going to be safe to say they'll probably lose this game if they get out-rebounded. With how well UCF shoots the ball and how well they score, it's going to be difficult if they do not rebound the basketball on Wednesday night. It's going to be that's going to be the key indicator of this game. And they got to get some production somewhere. So overall, I'm right there with you, Russ. If they let UCF win the rebounding battle and their offense gets cooking, this could be a game where it felt like another similar situation on Sunday. I'm going with UCF 78-72 in favor of the Knights down in Orlando.
Yeah, to note that rebounding, Neil's perfect example right here. 31 rebounds per game for UCF. That's just 8th in the conference, but they are hemorrhaging boards on the other end. 36.9 rebounds allowed on the other side. That's 16th in the conference in the Big 12. They're the worst rebounding team, allowing the other opponent to get rebounds in the conference. So not looking very optimistic for the Bearcats to turn this around starting on Wednesday, but see if they can prove us wrong. Trying to move to 18-4 on my season predictions. We'll see if Neil and I are right on this one when we reconvene at the later portion of the week right here on Bearcat Blitz. Enjoy Super Sunday week, everybody. The Super Bowl coming up this weekend, and hopefully you can enjoy the Bearcats basketball outfit on Wednesday. We'll see if they can turn it around and start showing some fight in the Big 12. For Neil Meyer, I'm Russ Eltman. This has been Bearcat Blitz, presented by Bet Online.
This is the second. 15 seconds left. Shot clock off. 4-point game. DeJulius puts up a three.